They kicked our ass, so we figured those guys would be pretty good teammates. That was the beginning. That's what started it all.
Our goal was, to have a podium sweep at every meet. When we did, it was like the pinnacle moment.
Over the years, as a member of the factory team, we're really privileged to have the opportunity to create mountain flying, to really get out there and make a mission of it. We'd seen the Team Extreme guys. They went to Mont Blanc. They went and flew in France, and we know they'd done it. And JC came on board with us, and we got a little bit more insight as to how it was done and what they had done before.
Some of the planning that went into it helped us realize how serious it was going to be, or how serious it could be if things were to go wrong. And so we definitely felt like we did a pretty decent job of trying to collect all the topographical maps and learn about the areas that we're probably most likely to fly or able to fly because of the glide slope of the canopy. It just seemed like a stair step, in mountain flying. Ground launching with skis on was helpful to recognize how much pressure we needed to get built up in that wing, and no problem. So that kind of gave us the confidence that we can do this on a much higher level and be safe as long as we plan carefully.
I believe it was 2003 when we came to Norway first for a competition, a swoop competition, and we were doing some base jumping in Gudvangen, and we looked across the valley and we saw this amazing crack, just like a double crack with this big spire coming up through the middle. And we thought, that looks incredible to fly. Let's see if we can get permission to go fly that. And they gave us the option, and so we just started kind of slowly working our way into these new spaces and finding a good landing area first, and then working our way back up, and kind of doing it in solo form, and then eventually following each other with camera to document it.
We'd flown this back in 03, 04, along with the Team Extreme guys. Those guys were flying here at the same competitions when we decided to get out here in the valleys and go play in the mountains. And that was some of the early days, was some of the most exciting stuff. It was also some of the scariest because we didn't have a clue. We're just going for it. And we got really close to some really bad situations a bunch of times. In 2006, I believe it was 2006, we were here in the Gudvangen Valley in Norway, and we were flying a line that we had flown once before we called Islands in the Sky. It's just a little behind us here, maybe a kilometer up the valley. And I was going through the run for, I think, the second time we had flown it, and I came over this little ridge and I saw this drop, and I'm like, I'm going for it. I'm doing it. I've envisioned this concept that you could snap roll the canopy fast enough to do a barrel roll inside of the gorge and get back underneath the wing in time. And I just did it. I just was like, I'm going for it. Wow, knocked the barrel roll out. I've never seen anybody do it before. I didn't know if it was possible, and it worked. And I wasn't thinking about the fact that Ian was right behind me, following me down the gorge, and he went right for it too. He was just, anything that I did, he was gonna do it. We're just mirrors of each other when we fly. So I come over this ridge and I go, woof, nail this roll, he's wham, right behind me with the roll. And we drop through this little, man, we're so close to the deck coming through the recovery arc. But it was so exciting, so exhilarating to see, wow, I could do a complete 360 roll inside of this narrow canyon and come through the bottom and make it work. It's pretty cool. Nowadays, you see that stuff on YouTube all the time, But I know that when the first time I did it, I'd never seen it before. Pretty cool.
We'd start slowly moving around the Gudvangen Valley, the waterfall, various locations that we've opened up over the years as a part of this project. And once people start seeing the video of us doing those things in the early DVDs, it started spreading, you know, around the world what's possible, I believe. And that spawned our other expeditions that we launched.
The flying we did in Italy, in the Dolomites in '06 was incredible. Some of the visuals, I'll never have those visuals again. Incredible life experiences, the videos spectacular. I really got into the mode of flying camera on that. I brought my DSLR and my high quality videos, and I'm like, I'm flying camera. And the stuff that I captured from Jonathan flying, chasing him down the mountains, some of my favorite life photographs ever, things that I cherish as moments in time.
The weather opened up and we had just basically really amazing spring mountain conditions, blue skies, light winds, and we had all these locations chosen. And to me, it was kind of the first real successful week as a group that we had. It had its ups and downs for sure, but just amazing spaces to fly, and the people that were there helping us were just spectacular.
Like I remember once in the Dolomites, at the end of the mountain, Ian and I were together, and there's this crack, and it's so narrow. It's on one of our promotional videos, but there's this tiny little crack, and we actually were both dragging the snow. He was right behind me, dragging the snow, and then dropping into a crack where there's literally just a couple of feet on either side of our end cells. And I couldn't do that today. You know, emotionally, psychologically, I couldn't do it. But at the time, it was just all we wanted to do, and so that was an epic moment. And then some of the memories are near tragedies, and they're still great memories just because they were truly lessons that we learned. For instance, also in the Dolomites, we were usually very good at scouting everything, including the landing areas. Like, one of our big rules was, before you do the first flight through a line, take the helicopter to the landing area, get out, walk around, and see that there's no rocks or anything hidden under the snow, for example. On this jump, we did all the scouting, but then for whatever reasons, whether it was money or time, we flew to the landing area in the helicopter, it looked good, and then we flew to the top and made the jump. And it was in this giant mountain bowl, and it was huge, so it was thousands of feet high. We flew the whole mountain, it was beautiful, it was epic. We got down in the bottom, coming to the landing area, and as we're flying it, all four in formation, like singular formation, we realized it was just a very shallow, constant downward slope. And as we looked ahead, we realized we didn't know. I mean, we would pass the area we thought was the landing area, and we would fly into an unknown ending. Like, we had no idea what was beyond. So one by one, man, it was carnage. Like, one by one, each of us, we passed the area that we thought we would be able to land in. It wasn't good enough. And, you know, you can imagine in the milliseconds, we're each saying, shit, where are we supposed to land? And one by one, we each just decide to take a hit. And I mean, I went over some little drop and tumbled into the trees, like hurt my shoulder. I mean, big impact, and broke trees down, everything. Jonathan went over another bank, tore his shoulder dislocated his shoulder. Jay cartwheeled at the bottom. I don't remember what Ian did, but it was 3 individual crashes that amounted to us saying, never ever do that again.
The '07 expedition to the Grand Canyon, PD Factory Team, Grand Canyon, 2007, January. I don't even know what to say. Who gets to fly high performance parachutes as a team into the Grand Canyon? I just didn't even believe it was real. You know, the opportunity to go do that, it was terrifying. I led one of our formation flights, 5 of us landing velocities on a little strip about 3 feet wide, about 80 feet long, at the bottom of the canyon, no other options, and that strip wasn't that nice. And I had to make sure that I did the perfect approach because everybody else is following me. And so I felt a lot of pressure.
Another really amazing week long in this special space. Took over a year to get us in there planning wise. I was doing all the permitting and all the logistics for that expedition as well with the Navajo Nation and we just got some amazing footage and jumping in very rare space. And subterranean was the weirdest thing. It's like you're exiting above the earth and then you fly into the earth and you do the flights below ground and land in the riverbed. So it was just amazing visuals. The Grand Canyon, we picked this one particular notch and it was wide enough where once we came in and entered hot, we could then do a barrel roll inside, like subterranean barrel roll. And I just can't describe how amazing the visuals are. I believe it's in the documentary, but it's one of the most amazing maneuvers I can say for me that is burned into my memory. It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
There's a single jump at the Grand Canyon. It's on some of our documentaries already, even me saying this, but there was a three-way that Jonathan and Ian and I did. We did a three-way landing. JC's filming, so it's the three of us, 270, leveling out on the top of the rim of the canyon in the snow. So it was like February, leveling out on the snow, dragging tow, and then just right off the edge, and then a simultaneous three-way barrel roll right into the heart of the canyon, and the light, I mean, it's like into the darkness, you know. It was epic, and I don't have favorites, but it's one of my top three.
Those of us that decided to jump into the canyon base jump after the helicopter had left, our ground support primarily and our air support, we were trusting that our fearless leader Jay at the time knew the way out, and I think he got disoriented when he was at the bottom looking up, identifying the route out that was only supposed to take about 45 minutes hiking back to the top. And so we ended up having to hunker down, stay awake, and keep moving the entire night just so we wouldn't freeze. Some people wanted to leave their gear because it was too heavy. Our boots were full of water and mud breaking through the ice and the snow that was down there, threw it to the riverbed, and so we stopped to make a fire to warm up just a bit. And I remember falling asleep, and the guys waking me up. You can't fall asleep, man. You can't fall asleep. You're gonna be left for dead. And I'm like, oh man. But that was an eye-opening experience. And if it wasn't for our friend Clem, Dave Major, that was there, ex-Marine, he kind of helped keep the motivation going and keep the spirit high and remind us that, hey man, we're gonna make it. So that was definitely a challenge and an eye-opener, team building experience for sure, you know, recognizing that, hey man, no matter what, there's still more planning that can go into everything that we do. And so it's just a good reminder of how we need to kind of keep tabs of one another, maybe have backup plans as well as safety plans in check, so that we're not getting caught with our pants down like we did.
When you're speaking about mountain flying or base jumping or wingsuit flying or any of the high risk reward type endeavors where you're taking a very large risk for a very momentary reward, a kind of reward that you can't quantify, you don't take it home with you, you don't own it, it's not something that you achieve. It's an experience. It's experiential living. This type of endeavors they're really amazing. They're what life is all about. Life is experience. Life is about the journey. The things that we do, the people that we do them with, and how they affect us. The type of person that we are after experiencing them. That's what it's about, right? We put ourselves up against our own fears in order to develop ourselves. Whether it's fear of being able to fly when you step off a mountain and fly down and open a parachute and land, you fear failure of that flight and not flying and crashing to land. And when you achieve that, when the flight actually works, you've overcome fear. And fear moves out of our life as a regular thing, and it gives us more room to grow as a person. So I value it greatly. I encourage people to face their fears, make good decisions, take risks. They're not going to have life-altering outcomes until you're ready to move to that stage. Take them step by step by step. Build up the skills, build up the knowledge, build up the experience, and push yourself as far as you're comfortable.
I think that the thing that I've learned through all the accidents is that for me, the rewards haven't changed. You know, like the rewards are still there. They're the same things that still feed me to fly in the mountains and fly in new spaces in that explorative way. But the accidents have helped to remind me that the risks are always the same as they've been from day one. The rewards are still equally present for me as an individual, and I still desire that. But it's just a reminder over the years of the teammates that we've lost, that you have to treat each flight as if it was your first flight in that space.
Coming back here to Voss, Extreme Veco 2017, I have a different perspective. I'm a papa of 3 now. I've got 3 kiddos. One's getting ready to turn 9. One's gonna be 8 not long after. And then I've got our little baby girl, she's gonna be 5 in September. And I don't have the desire to take the risks that I feel like we used to at all. To me, the rewards or the satisfaction, the excitement that I've experienced over the years, I'm realizing that it's not worth the risk, because it's such a short and fleeting feeling, and it's such a powerful feeling, such an addictive feeling. It's such an attraction, but it's so short-lived that when you try to weigh that on a scale, it's a no-brainer. And so there's other things in my life that are more important than my desires to want to feel excited for just that much time.
My perception of risk versus reward has done a 180. Like, I mean, quite simple, and it's not a choice. There is choice to it, but what has occurred to me just through experience is that my boundaries have changed. So I was hurt in 2010 very badly, as most people know. And then in 2012, Jonathan died. And so in 2013, we came back to the same valley where he was killed, and to drop his ashes and do a memorial run for him in the same exact ravine. So I followed JC and Ian through this ravine, and it was at that moment where we're at the top of the mountain, we turn into this ravine, and those two descend right into the mouth of the belly of this thing like we normally do, and it wasn't in me. Like I just lifted away and stayed 200 feet higher than them all the way to the bottom. And it was kind of in that moment where I realized it's not even a choice. My edge has dulled, you know? And the way I describe it to my friends is that when you're in the moment, you're doing your thing, if you have voices saying, you know, watch out, be careful, you're too close, remember that tree, then you're a danger to yourself, because you really need to be fully focused on what you're doing, not thinking about what happened or what's about to happen.
I think that's been a real sub-legacy of the PD Factory team, is the education that's happened.
By the late 2000s, we had started the business Flight 1, Canopy Education.
When we came through, it was just the school of hearsay and the school of fireside beer chats over how canopies work and how people fly, and there was no structured way to learn. And what happens as you do more is you start to gain knowledge, and then realizing that the formulation of a team and the sharing of energy and the sharing of concepts made us better, that we have something here that people like and people want to tap into, and that becomes a way to make a living in the sport that we love. So that whole concept is what formed Flight 1, and teaching and educating others and giving them the capability to gain information in a way that we never had, because it's not the Shannon Pilcher coaching show. It's not Jay Maletsky coaching. It's these 30 instructors across the country and the world that have been sharing information for 10, 15 years, and it's just getting stronger and stronger.
Not only have so many friends who really respect what we do, but want to do the same thing, obviously, you know, so many jumpers, and being in DeLand and traveling like we do, we have a lot of contact with a lot of people. So I've had a chance in the recent years to work canopy team flying exercises with the Joyriders and Fly for Life, Tribute before that. It's the air-to-air program. It's what we do with the military with Flight 1, and it's so much, really, people still don't know what's out there. And that's why it's so fun with these guys, because you're talking about Fly for Life, Joyriders, these are top-level skydivers. They're good in all disciplines, you know, wind tunnel, free flying, swooping, everything. But you take people up in the air and you start flying relative, it's crew essentially with high performance canopies, and suddenly they've never seen this stuff before. So it's been really fun.
Share the team flying knowledge with them and watch them just light up.
Yeah.
Jonathan did a lot of that in Dubai, in Skydive Dubai, when he joined the team there back in 2011, I think. When I took that role years later, I had also the opportunity to help and coach the Free Fly Maktoum team with team flying, and it was awesome, and they really loved it. And as you just said, they are amazing top level skydivers, but for them, like flying together, flying the canopies together as a team was a big unknown. And then I also had the opportunity years later to help a little bit and coach the Skydive Dubai sub team. And I was really proud of them, because after that coaching, to learn how to do two-ways together and hit the gates together, they were the only team that beat you guys. And I was a little bit, you know, I felt a little bit guilty, like, wait, like I just coached this team.
We were robbed.
I just coached this team like the last month, you know, for a few days, and now they are here competing and they just beat us, you know. But I think that's also the goal of the coach, right?
And it's kind of one of the beauties of our sport,
to make sure that
it's small enough that we can coach the people we're competing against.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens in all realms of this sport.
And it's just part of life also to see the students becoming the champions, no? That makes you feel good about the work you do. So here we are on our 15th anniversary of the PD Factory team, building up our roster for the 2017-2018 season with 3 different generations of the PD Factory team. We have a member from the first initial team, starting the team 15 years ago, Jan Bobo, a couple of members from the 2009 X Project edition, Thomas Delibach and Pablo Hernandez, and we are adding this new generation, 2 more members, 2 more special weapons to our roster, Travis Mills and Justin Price. Travis and Justin, both of them, they did our X project in 2009. Yeah, they went through the process, and 8 years later, they made it, both of them. Travis?
Yeah, it just kind of goes to show you never give up, you know? Give up that dream, give up that hope, and give up that drive. So it was nice.
So yeah, with all the 4 generations of athletes and 15 years of history, I'm certainly, there's a sense of pride in the legacy, the team that's been built here, and I'm just as proud of our 2 newest members and what they're going to be doing and where they're going to take this project into the future. You know, as I was and excited when we brought on the second generation and the X project, and the closeness and the brotherhood is strong, and I know what the future looks like is exciting, just as it is now as it was then.